Oh man, thank you for joining me. Um, it's late. I'm tired. Just saw the Wonka movie. Trying to squeeze in a little bit of time to get this project going. I only get a little bit of the teeniest bit of time to do things, and you gotta take it when you got it. So my goal today is to get jumping working. Um, Jumping's not difficult to set up really in Unreal. Um, but I'm doing it using the new input system, which I'm not super familiar with. So I'm going to fumble around with that a bit, um, and I'm also going to export the jump animations that I from the motion capture. So I'm just waiting for everything to boot up, um, and of course get Maya going. My voice sounds a little bit rough today. Noticed that earlier. Hope that doesn't mean I'm going to get sick again. Uh, I better have something worthwhile, like cancer or something. Dennis Lear used to make jokes about, because he smoked a lot or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I want that throat cancer." No, I don't want cancer, but getting sick this often makes me wonder, do I have a compromised immune system? Because I was just sick like a week or two ago. All right, you see this is taking a minute to boot up, and so this is booting up at the same time that Unreal is booting up. You can see that I've been working on the jump. Uh, yeah, I'll continue. Frame mismatch. What are you talking about? The imported scene frame 24. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it kind of does, but sort of. All right. Let me move that out of the way. But yeah, I saw the Wonka movie tonight. It was actually surprisingly pretty good. I thought I was gonna hate it, but no, I enjoyed it. So this is what I have for the jump. Uh, okay, it is, and that's centered up, looking nice. There's a little bit of a jitter on the foot here. Not too bad though. Arm, I've got one arm that kind of passes through on that side. Of course, I am kind of annoyed that I have to do this again for the other side, but I might be able to flip it using the Unreal Engine 5 has a built-in mirror tool for this, so I'm gonna tinker around with that and see how that works. I've also noticed that sometimes the jaw on the exports has been flipping, and I want to figure out why that's happening. I assume the way that I've been rotating the model, I've been missing that control, and maybe that control's like hanging out, and the rest of the body is turning. But when I tested that, it did not seem to bear out, so gonna have to see. Anyway, this is broken down to from here and to different parts. So um, there are several different parts to a jump. Okay, it's not just one action, and you have to break it down. So we have the jump itself. So you kind of get into the jumping motion, and then you push off, right? So you have this. This is what we call the jump start. Okay, and then you have that part where you're technically off the ground, and this is that transition from start to falling. And then you have the falling cycle, which is whatever this is. And then as soon as your feet hit the ground, you have the landing. Okay. So there, so you have your jump, and then you have your fall, and then you have your land. So bam, so jump, and then we're transitioning into the fall, and then this falling animation actually has to loop a little bit before landing. So I got to break these up. into that. I also need to move it. I don't actually have to move it, but I do want to move it. So you get my graph editor up here. And what do I care about? That. Another thing about the jump is you have to decide as the animator if you want the jump to be handled using root motion or if you want it to be handled through through code. So right now, root motion is technically baked into this animation, right? He pushes down, he kicks off, we go into the air here, and then gravity pulls him down, and there's a recovery. So this up travel would be handled using root motion, but you can see the root bone here does not actually move. Pelvis moves, but the root is still on the floor. What that means is he's going to have a capsule, and he's going to jump outside the capsule, but the capsule's never going to go anywhere. Well, that's no good, no bueno. So I either have to um, set it up so that this root moves with him, and then I readjust his height relative to the root position, or I can remove any travel upward where he's off the ground. And then I can have that upward travel be handled through code, which is what I generally do for my jumps. So now, granted, I've been working at Unreal 4 for quite a while, and root motion was always a pain um, for certain things. So I tried to avoid using root motion for the longest time. Unreal 5 allegedly is better. I haven't tested I have not really tested root motion out in Unreal 5. So if you have more experience in Unreal 5's root motion and you think it's a good idea, let me know because I haven't really worked with it yet. Anyway, um, to fix this jumping situation, what I would do is I would find a spot where he's pushed off. So probably right about here where the toes are in contact. Technically, this foot should also be in contact here, but this is pretty good. They're roughly in contact. So at this frame is where I would pretty much stop any upward travel. I might go as far as this frame just to kind of keep whatever the maximum height is. So let me take this hips here, and I'm going to set the height to 0 just to see where that would be. All right, so he's at 0 there. Am I passing 0 at this point? Um, I'm down at negative, can't see anything, -8. And then as I move forward, I hit 0, and then I pass 0. So he ends up going higher than his standing height. That's not too big of a deal. Um, because if a character were to stand on their tippy toes, they would go over their standing height. So I'm not too worried about that. So I can go here and not have to worry too much about there being a discrepancy between standing height and all that stuff. So I can definitely go from here. Um, but what I'm probably going to do is from this frame forward, set it to 0. So as he's coming up, he will approach, and this will be 0. And then this will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then as soon as the feet hit the ground, actually, this one's probably okay. Um, nope, I'm going to take that down. Take that one down a peg. Let the feet sink into the floor, and then we'll have the hit. So between frames, what do I got? Frame 485 to frame 515. Let's grab my Y. So I'm going to isolate that. Um, 485 to 515. Okay, and I can see where those are. And basically these are going to be 0. So all these I'm going to revalue at 0 here. Um, it should just be the type in like that. Mm. Okay, so this one would leave him floating. That one I'm not worried about. That one I'm not worried about. That I'm not worried about. I don't mind if the feet go through the floor here because he's going to be in the air with the code. The code's going to push him off the ground. Um, so this is fine. This is fine. This might be okay, but he would be floating above the capsule, and you might catch that. So this frame I'm going to put back. So I may just lower it. So I'll leave this one off, and I'll 0 those. So how's everybody doing tonight? You guys doing good? Yeah, this is a lot better. So this here, and then bam, and then the rest of his weight will carry through. There we go. And I'm going to set this back to 1 just to make life easier on my counting. So I will set that to 1. We will set this to 1. I have no idea what the ending frame was going to be. So I'll just grab all these. I'm doing pretty well. Um, Trying to get things done. I am a little bit flustered though, a little bothered. Every now and again, usually when students say things to me, it doesn't bother me. I'm able to just fluff it off because I know at the end of the day they're just kids um, who don't really know much about their world yet. So whatever they say, it's coming from a place of thinking they know everything, but they don't really have any experience for it. So I'm like, whatever. But every now and again, a kid will say something, and it'll stick with me. And I lost half my animation, so that's not cool. Where'd my other half go? Oh, I see what I did. Yeah, I pulled a dumb. Let's put that back. I see what I did. Do you see what I did? These are over here. I can grab these and move them. I'm not going to. I'm going to move that back. I should be able to just push this back to where it was and then grab. So I didn't have all the hierarchy selected. There we go. Yeah, but every now and again, I'll have somebody say something that sticks to me. And it bugs me because I have a kid who is brilliant. You know, he's in the class. Um, we're doing a project. Him and a couple of his friends. So I got about 4 kids actually, who are done with the project. Like they finished the project weeks ago, and he's telling me he's not really happy with the program. He wants to do something else. Go do a different program. And he's like, oh, coding isn't fun in here, And I'm like, I can't tell if you're just saying that because you're upset that that I busted you for playing a game in class, or if you're truly feeling like you need to go somewhere else. And why that bugs me is he's brilliant. If he would apply himself, he'd be brilliant to what he's doing. And I'd love to have a good way of getting that through to him. Things to think about. If he leaves the class, he leaves the class. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is him throwing away his potential and maybe not even noticing it or recognizing his own ability. That bugs me. But I see that all the time. Dog is scratching at the door. Yes. Uh, just the things you think about when you're teaching. Now, he's not the only kid that's like that. I have several kids who are very bright and they just throwing their futures away. Hmm. All right, what was I doing? I got to get this lined up. I got that lined up. Hmm. Test the animation. Really? Is it broken? Is Maya just being silly? I think Maya's being silly. No, I'm being silly. This is not tracked the correct distance. Is that 1 to 100 frames? Let's take a look at this. Then I have a couple kids in my upper level classes. I have some juniors and seniors who just don't want to apply themselves, and that just we just want to sit there and do nothing. Is that 101? 101. It looks a little goofy, but once he's pushed off the ground, he'll be fine. Yes, dog. She's walking in circles. Uh, Perhaps my biggest weakness is I'm not a cheerleader. Like, if you want it, I'll help you get it. If you don't want it, there's not much I can do for you, you know? That old saying, you can lead a horse to water. So we got that. We got his start position kicks off at about here. Actually, that goes up to here, and then from here to there is about a thing. So actually, when his arms come up and his feet are kind of dangling, that's the loop. So this is sort of like the loop. So I need to isolate where that's going to be. What am I happy with? Let's launch, and I might have to cut this launch down because it's about responsiveness. Anybody play Mortal Kombat? Um, you like Mortal Kombat 10 or 11? When you hit jump, it feels very sluggish. You want your characters to be very responsive. So for him to have what is this, 26 frames to start the jump, and then we have a couple frames of liftoff, and then into it. That can really feel sluggish. So I might end up cutting this down to maybe here, have the push off be that. It might even be a little bit cheaper and have the push off be this from here to there, and we have this little pop. And then the fall is fine. We'll just have to see how that plays out. All right, so let's break this down. Whenever you have so your jump cycle, it's a lot easier to do the whole thing as one uh, animation, jump, fall, land, and then just export the pieces as separate pieces. Just because it's easier to animate as one piece, but it's easier to work with when it's separate pieces. So let's say I'm happy with this being a loop at uh, maybe 46 to 50. Yeah, so I'm going to cut this off at 46, like that. And for that to work, I'm going to have to bake. So I'll take this, and then um, we'll select the hierarchy. And I'm half awake, so where am I at? Bake simulation. Uh, right now I've been baking every other. I'm gonna go ahead and just do a full bake, and then I will keep my frames, but I'll bake it there, and then I can export that. Where are you at? Where are you at? Sorry, I'm drifting off. This is the idle jump. Uh, so I'll just leave this as jump, and then I'll just check the value. So you can see I have 1 to 46. If you crop your animation like that, you should see the appropriate length, and then hit apply or export. Okay, and then I'm going to do 46 to, I'm going to keep 101 here. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. I went from Austrian to having like a lisp. All right, so what was that? 46 to 50? 46 to 50. So this one I'm going to have to fudge a bit. Um, there are some differences between here and there. looks like we get all the way maybe to 56. And then maybe I can play that back. Maybe that's goofy. Maybe I just have him pause at 56 and then hit. So to get that to loop, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more work on it. Um, but let's go to 56. It's probably gonna be very jerky. What's my playback rate? Like this isn't too bad as a back and forth. This is kind of goofy back and forth. So 46 to 50, I think, is the better loop. And then we can have 51 be part of the fall. So we'll drop this back to 46 to 50. And what I'm going to do here is I really should save this as a sequence or as a separate part, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. I'll copy this frame and I will paste this frame here. Hopefully he doesn't turn inside out. That's not quite inside out, but that's not the same frame. And that is definitely a problem with Maya, copy and pasting frames over. It's a frustration that sometimes you have to deal with. I can physically move the frame if I go one frame up. So I'm gonna, and his jaw's backwards. Oh man, why the flipper is his jaw backwards? At what point did his fucking jaw go backwards? Man, that's punch worthy. Can I fix it? Yeah, I just don't want to have to fix it. Like, why is it happening? Right? I'd rather find out why it's happening so that it doesn't so that it does not occur versus having to go through and fix the stupid frame. But I don't give a flying. You can insert your swears there. Uh, kind of at the end of it. All right, so let's go ahead and take this frame here, and I'm going to copy that frame to here. There's absolutely no reason that he should do that. No reason at all. It's not that drastic of a change from here to there. Like, I could probably do an Euler, but I don't think there's enough of a change between the two positions for it to flip that badly. Yeah, it's very minor. Where is that curve? I don't care. I was just gonna copy the frame over and then have this loop back um, at some point. So I need a center frame. So on this one, I'm gonna hit S and just make a key. Let me see if I can copy this and then paste next to it. Okay, so this one and that one are identical, theoretically. Maybe it didn't change. What's really fun is when Maya crashes in the middle of an animation. That's great. Once again, let's try copying this animation. I do have all the keys, right? Yeah. Let me try pasting over here. Is this one identical to that one? It isn't. It didn't even paste. It did not even paste. Like he moved, but that didn't paste. Um, let's do it this way. Copy my keys. I'll go forward to where I want to go, and I will manually paste those in. So we'll have this. Now it is running at 60 FPS. It's going to be very jittery. I can actually stretch that animation out. So to do that, and I'm not saving anything, so it doesn't really matter, but I can really just snip off this end and this lower, or the higher end, high bound and low bound, basically. Cut those off. And then um, at the minimum, I can put 60 frames there. So at 60 FPS, we'll do 1 and 60. Look at that. I can do math. And then these ones are at the end. And then this is going to be in the middle. Or about there. And then I can just run this. Oh, that's super goofy. Why would he come all the way back out? The only that reason that would happen is there's got to be an Euler change. Like this has to ramp up and then suddenly ramp down. Let me see if I can. Really, I should apply to the whole thing. Um, I can grab those. Huh, interesting curves. Let me run an Euler filter. No real change there. Yeah, that's just real goofy. It should go from here and then out to here, but not come back. All right, so let me remove the Euler. Undo Euler filter. Seriously? Okay. Let's delete this frame. bit of a pulse. Try copying and pasting again. It just doesn't want me to do that one. Man, what a jerk face. All right, we'll do a manual copy. Not quite as goofy. Of course, only the one leg is doing stuff. Oh, that leg is doing something. Okay. Listen, jaw. I've got your number. All right, I'm gonna bake what I have, fix the stupid jaw, and then export. So let me get all of him. Actually, I'm just gonna fix the stupid jaw now. You're not even keyed. Where is the geometry group? So the bone of that jaw is way the foo bar out here, but I don't know why it's way the foo bar out here. Problem is I can't set it to 0. If I set it to 0, it'd be in a weird spot. And I can't rotate it because it's on the same as this. This controller is supposed to maintain that, but it is not maintaining it for some reason. Yeah, there's like a weird offset. I can break the rig. Actually, I might not be able to because I'm on a reference. Reference probably won't let me do it. I can I can solidify the reference, break the rig, and then do stuff with that, which is what I think I'm gonna have to do. But that's really irritating. I don't know why that's happening. Use Dane Cook's phrase. That's baby punching. Yeah, that's awful. You don't punch babies. Don't do that. Dane Cook is hilarious though. Yeah, I have no idea why that's happening. Annoying, but it's what is going on. I'll bring back my geometry, cry a little bit. There's no good reason for that. No reason at all. At least not one that I can think of. All right, let's bake this stupid thing. Um, hierarchy. We'll bake the simulation. Bake it. Yay, I've got some sim going. Of what? And then I'll export. This is gonna be Selden. Um, this is falling. Okay. I've done too much work to undo, so I'm gonna go back to the original file. And I'm working on Z jump. Continue. And you can see right here, his jaw is working just fine. Jaw is just fine here. Let's see if it does something stupid. Nope, I don't see any issues with the mesh. No issue there. All right, so I'm starting at 56, and then I'm finishing off for the landing. 56. I like the push, but his hands come up a little bit more just before the landing. So I might start here and do the landing. Let's go with 60. Let's do 65. You gotta stick the landing. We'll select all, we'll grab hierarchy, and then once again we'll bake from here. Look, there's nothing wrong with the jaw here, right? It just happens at random for no good reason. Probably something when I cut the keys. Um, Something gets a weird interpolation, like maybe there is a major um, so to kind of give like a visual, the joints they're hard to see, but I can just make an analog real quick. And we'll do this in world. Actually, no, we'd have to do it in um, we'll have to do it in object for it to make sense. Okay, say we have a joint, and then over here, this joint is, and we'll just zero this out. Uh, where's modify, freeze, and then I'll come over here, and maybe I'll rotate this. I don't know. I'll just do it this way. Okay, we'll get here. Um, yeah, that'll be fine. So we're at, let's say here we're at 0, right? On this frame, it is, whatever that number is. But then on the next frame, I'll just go over some distance. Doesn't really matter. On this arbitrary frame, instead of being a positive 90, we'll do a negative 90. Okay. Now, visibly, these all look the same, right? But at some point, we'll just say that this is the same sphere at different moments in time. So maybe it's here, and then on one frame it goes here. On the next frame, it's there. Um, Depending on how it got there, Maya has to interpolate um, in a continuous way. And so I'll make a third sphere that kind of works as a little analog for this. And again, I'll freeze him. So I'll key him here. And then on this one, uh, I'll key him at 90. That's a little less than 90. There we go. Key him at 90. And then over here, I will key him at negative 90. Okay. From the perspective of your eye, these all look the same. If I actually do a wireframe unshaded here. From the perspective of your eye, this looks the same, right? You can't tell a difference. It's instantaneous. But what Maya has to do, if we look at the numbers on here, um, and that one didn't stay. View, lock, thank you. Okay, your eye can't tell the difference between this frame and that frame, even though there should be a negative value in between. I wonder if there's a safety that's like burning that from happening. Geez, it was fighting me for like a minute on there. Again, your eye can't tell the difference. But for Maya to get from here to there, it has to do some work. So let me go ahead and just move these out. I'll move this one out about here, and I'll move this one out about there. Now between these frames, this one rotates this way, but then it has to rotate that way, right? But it's going to do that instantaneous. There's going to be a flip-flop. Well, when you do motion capture, it captures every key and just freezes it at that position. So you can get some goofy um, turns on the sensor that, yeah, it is technically oriented the correct way relative to the next thing. So things look like they're moving correctly, but mathematically or numerically or whatever, the values on that could be something really goofy. And because it's just instant key to instant key, you don't see that. But when you go through and you do a bake and you bake every other key, or you cut off a couple other keys and you let Maya do some interpolation, Maya has to go, well, from here to there is this, right? So it could be very possibly that on that jaw, that joint has some weird arbitrary value, and when I cut it, it goes and says, yeah, that's the correct interpolation. I don't know, but that's my suspicion. Long-winded spiel on that little hypothesis. Anyway, um, did I bake this? Looks like I did. We're going to take him and we're going to export him. And that is going to be Selden landing. So I had jump, fall, and land. Let me be consistent. Did I do fall or falling? I did falling. I do landing. Yeah, I'm not going to save because um, I have to come back and tweak this stuff anyway. I just want to see if I can get this connected and rolling. So now let's go ahead and fumble around inside of Unreal. Yay. Um, been a hot minute since I've even looked at this code or even used the new input system. So I'm on player camera. I need to be on my character, which is Selden. I have my F input for my jump. What do I need here? Do I have my function for jump? That is my function, okay. Um, and that's been implemented. Am I not using a check input function? I probably am not because each action is bound to a key, so I'm not doing that. Let's jump over where is my CPP file? Here it is. Okay, jump. I'm getting that from, where's my input? Um, that is on um, the player controller. So player controller CPP. Where's my jump? Did I even create a jump? Uh, start going, completed. I've got enhanced move. There's my enhanced jump. Okay, so I've only got the basic. So I need, I think the order of operations for the new input is started, and then started is on the pressed, and then completed is on the released, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to have to change this back here. Where are they? Enhanced jump. Okay. So this is going to be enhanced jump started. And then I'm going to do void enhanced jump completed. And this takes in bum, 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 if input action value. Okay. Let's save that. By the way, if you're working in Unreal, in your headers, um, you can't define something in your header without implementing it in your CPP file. So if I were to try to run this from here, it would most likely just fail and say, hey, something's broken, blah, blah, blah. But really, these just wouldn't be set up. So I do have to come over and set these up here. So it would also throw a flag because this one no longer exists. But assuming that line wasn't even there, it would just catch it and say, hey, these haven't been implemented. So there's my started, and then I need my completed. I'll just write it out. I should just copy it because I'm lazy, but that's a long signature. ATGC NP player. If you're new to Unreal, um, or new to C++, um, basically this signature is the class for kind of what I'm in. So the general rule of thumb is if you've made a game called Super Mario Bros., right? Um, in that project, you don't have to do this. You can generally just understand that um, if you're in Super Mario Bros., everything you're talking about is Super Mario Bros. If you're in Metroid, everything you're talking about is Metroid. If you're in Mega Man, everything you're talking about is about Mega Man. Um, but since I'm in a game engine that I did not build, there's a lot of stuff in here that exists that I did not build, right? So when I'm working on things that are strictly related to my project's code, best practices suggest to identify that this belongs to my section of code. So by giving this little signature here, um, so the A is actually an Unreal thing. A is just an actor that they put abbreviations in front of their stuff. And then this is just a shorthand for my project. So this is the Guardian Chronicles Nihilus Prime. So I just do TGC NP, even though I'm probably going to change the name later, which is going to mean I'm going to have to go back and change all of these later um, if I do that. But there's a script that I can run that'll do it for me, so I don't have to work that hard. But anyway, that's my signature, and then whatever object I'm working on. So this is a player controller class, and the player controller class is again that's an Unreal defined class. I'm using that class type to get the features of the player controller, and then by extension, um, this is just showing ownership. So these all exist within this class type. So that's kind of all that is. Anyway, so I gotta make sure I do that and that. Make sure that I have those down here as well. Where is my, there we are, enhanced input. I need to get my A jump. That is gonna be on, uh, yes, this is gonna be on started. So unlike Unity, for anybody watching, any of my students or just anybody in general, um, you're not when you're talking to keys and code in Unreal, it's a bit more involved. You're binding to a an event that talks to that key. So there's a little bit more work to kind of do that. So I can't just say, you know, input dot, get key and then throw in the key value. I have to um, call the object that is running that. Um, bind is just this is just a function call that takes in a the object that basically handles whatever that button is, and then the event. This is a an enum. It just has some standardized things on there. So one of a few possible operations for switching how it behaves. This is itself. It just talks to its own self. So it just wants to know what object are we talking to. So if we're handling input, what object is receiving that input? So in this case, it is this. And then this as in this particular player controller. And then we are looking at we're getting the address. Basically, we're passing by reference the um, address of this function. So it goes. So if you're in C sharp, you don't have pointers in C sharp. Um, pointers are a blessing and a curse. They let you do some really interesting things with memory management. Um, so you don't have to have a direct link. So they're called pointers because they literally point. They say it's over there. Okay, they literally point to an address somewhere in memory for the thing, and every time you pass a pointer, there's a whole, uh, I guess, a table of where things go. So that's handy because then they're a lot lighter than copying the entire variable over and over and over again. It says just go there and look at it instead of copying it. Uh, and you can look at a pointer address and basically talk to the pointer as if you were that pointer. So like um, I could I am basically acting as Mary, right? When you go pick up Mary's dry cleaning, you are acting as Mary, but you're not Mary. That's kind of like how a pointer is working. But you can also uh, basically identity theft the whole situation and say, yeah, I totally am the pointer. Um, it's me. There's another option for that. So anyway, I'm getting off topic, which is fun for me sometimes. What am I doing? Completed. If you want to have a really good breakdown of pointers, I recommend checking out the Cherno. He is a great resource for C++ stuff. He'll go through and break down all the computer science stuff behind the scenes. Um, I love the Cherno. He's great. Um, and he just happened to work at Epic for quite a while building Unreal, and he's working on his own game engine. So, um, a quick shout out just because I enjoy his videos. But anyway, um, and I highly recommend them for anybody who's learning C++ and it's like a mystery to them. Go ahead and do that. Anyway, um, so I've got these in, got those in. These have been bound. I'm gonna go back up to here. So now I need to talk to my player. I gotta make sure that he exists. So if player is not equal to null, so there's null pointer. And Unity, which uses C sharp, I specifically this is a C sharp thing, but I will whenever I say Unity, I'm referencing the fact that I mean writing code in Unity, which is written in C sharp. Um, mm, so you have null. Null just points to 0. Um, but null pointer, as I understand it, points to the address of 0 in memory. But it boils down to the same thing. Basically, this is just checking to see if this is empty or not. So Unreal has a lot of encapsulation. C++ and object-oriented programming in general has a lot of encapsulation. Encapsulation just means that things exist inside of a bubble, and every object is its own bubble of stuff. And when you want one bubble to communicate to something of another bubble, or you want those two things to talk to each other, they have to know about each other. And so you have to pass references in there. So before you talk to the thing that you're talking to, you should check to see if it exists. Otherwise, you'll try to talk to it, and then your code will just break and go, yeah, I couldn't find that. Also, that memory doesn't exist, and poof. Sometimes it fails silently, and it doesn't poof anything for a while, but you're eating up memory until you lock. You go, oh, well, that was bad. Or you get some weird after effects. But anyway, so I'm checking to see if the player exists. And then once I get the player, I do want to get its jump function. Although, this is the new input system, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this correctly. I should look it up, but I really just want to give it a shot and just break it and see if I do something wrong. Because the jump function is on the pawn, not the character. So normally you would bind to that and then get access to that. So I think what I'm going to do is I have to go down to the player level and then create the function and have that function just call from there. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Do I have a jump function on Selden? I do. Selden's going to take in the input from here, so I can just call jump and pass in my F input. So it's been a while since I looked at the code, and I did start writing this a while ago, so it's whatever. So Selden, once I establish the player, I can get the player. No. Um, oh, fun thing about pointers, you never use them. Um, they did this cute thing where you put an arrow on their things so they can point. Pointer notation and dot notation are the same thing. It just depends on how you're accessing the members. Um, so dot notation is generally when you're accessing directly the stuff that is a member of the class or the pointer or the array or whatever object you're talking to. If it's directly a direct access to its member, usually it's dot notation. If it's through a pointer, then you're going to use the pointer, which effectively does the same thing, but it's being passed as a pointer. Um, Somebody out there with better computer science knowledge than me is going to go, hey, blah, 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 blah. But it's whatever. Um, anyway, so player, I want to get the jump, and my jump takes in an F input. That's going to be fun to say because it's such a long thing to write. F input. But I can just take the value because value here is of type F input. All right, so I'll just pass that in. And really, I'm just going to do the same thing here. And I feel really dirty for doing that because you want to avoid repeating code as much as you can, and it just feels so dirty. But I kind of have to because these are independent functions. So there's a paradigm when it comes to writing functions, and it is that a function should do one thing and do it very well, do it quick and efficient and all that stuff. If your function does more than that one thing, you wrote it wrong and you should go back and fix it. And to some degree that's true, but there's a point where you have so many functions that just hang around and just wait. And you're like, well, I could handle that over here. So I don't know. But anyway, I need to check if it's valid, and then I need to do an operation. Check if it's valid, do an operation. These are effectively the same thing. The difference is this one should trigger on the button press, and this should trigger on the button release, from my understanding of the new input system. Okay, so now I'm here on jump. Let's go into Selden CPP file, wherever the heck that is. Why are you over there? There we go. All right, so on jump, um, sorry, I'm just kind of like, my brain wants to do things efficiently and not repeat stuff, but I'm running into repetition that I just don't want to have. But I can't really think of a better way of doing it at the moment because I'm handling all of my inputs from the player controller, and I don't really have to do that. Uh, by handling everything on the player controller, handling all the inputs on the player controller, I can have I can swap out characters, and I can have all of the primary inputs. Think of Smash Bros, right? Every character in Smash Bros uses the same input settings. You have an up B, you got a down B, you got a forward tilt. Everybody has the same array of possible inputs, right? But then the specific character has their own execution of those inputs. So that's what I'm building here, um, essentially. So if I swap out a different character, if I have Selden, at one point, and then later on I have Dean in there, or I've got Jazra in there, I've got Simon in there, um, no matter what input I'm pressing, it'll talk to the correct function on that player and then execute whatever that function is doing. That makes perfect sense. What bothers me is having, a jump method on here and then going over here to talk to its specific jump method. And I go, there's got to be a better way. I feel dirty for doing it. Um, but anyway, can't think. So I'm gonna go over and just um, do a terrible thing, which is copy and paste. And this one is going to be a jump start, and the other one's going to be a jump end, which you're going to see why this is dirty, okay? Um, so jump, uh, start, and then I'll do this one as jump. And um, I might change the names of those later. Sometimes you need to have good names, and I just can't think of a good name right now. Not that it matters. I'm the only one ever really seeing this code. I'm not going to write this out. That's a long thing to write. Oh, just for funsies. Um, IntelliSense, C++, Visual Studio, whatever you want to call it. This is pretty much standard, I think, these days. But if you're working in a header and you want to just quickly implement your thing, you don't have to write it. You can actually just right-click on your header and then um, do it and say, yeah, go ahead and create definition. And then it'll pop it in there for you. And then there it is. There's my end. The downside about doing that is sometimes it gets it wrong and it pastes code like some of my students where it'll just paste part of a function over another function and then break your code. So it doesn't do it all the time. Most of the time it does it right. Sometimes it does it goofy like that, and you go, why would you do that? So you just have to watch it, you know, like a toddler with a light socket. You gotta watch it. Like, uh, that's gonna that's gonna get you. You shouldn't do that. He goes, Bzz, yeah, you gotta make sure they don't do something silly. Anyway, um, so I got jump start, jump end. Bum, 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 bum. I don't think I can talk directly to jump here. Um, what is it? What is it gonna be? Mm, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can call a character jump directly and see if it'll let me do it. And then I'll do the same thing over here. This stop jumping. So in theory, if I hit this, it'll call that and that. So jump and stop jumping are pre-built on the pawn. There's an order of operation. So there's an actor, which is anything. So like if you're in Unity, anything that you put in the game that exists in the game world is a game object, right? So in Unreal, anything that you could put in the game that exists is an actor. Um, there's actually a class below that, but in general, anything that exists in the world is an actor. So the next thing down um, on the tier list would be everything's an actor, but then you could have if you can control it, it is then a pawn. So a car would be a pawn, a plane would be a pawn, a character is a pawn. Um, but a pawn does not have animation. By default, they don't have any animation constructors on them. They just exist. So like a again like a car or a spaceship or something that you could move, but it doesn't, flap its wings or something, that would be a pawn. Um, if it has animation on it, then you're a character, but a character is a pawn. It's just a pawn with animation logic built in, so it can flap its wings and do that kind of thing. Um, but anyway, so so this is why it's dirty. I've got a jump function here, right, that is handled from my input that talks to the jump function on my player that talks to the jump function on the character that my player is derived from. And it's like Can I just call that directly? I, I could. I guess I could. Anyway, gonna run it. See what breaks. Build errors. What kind of build errors do I have? Um, oh crap. I think I said run from previous build. Build errors. Let's build. Oh no. Okay. Um, wait a minute. I read that wrong. I saw I saw zero succeeded. Yes, it was good, and then one failed. I was like, wait, no, it should be one succeeded and zero failed. I totally read that wrong. My error list. A character jump function does not take one argument. Um, I didn't pass an argument, so what's going on there? Do, 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 do. Okay, yeah. So what happened here is this jump, because it has the same name that identifies with the jump that's on a character. The so again, my player Selden is a is okay. Uh, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Um, a character, as defined here, is a object type, right? Selden is of type a character, but Selden also is a character, like in English, a space character. Wordplay is fun. Um, because this name is ambiguous and it matches the name of a function, it assumes I'm calling the original. Um, I actually want this to be my jump start. And then this should be my jump end. A few things. Well, the first thing I want to do is go to my inputs, which would be in my blueprints, which is then inside of my system, which is then inside of my input. And I should have a jump, which I do. It is a bool, correct. I need to set up the things that a jump has. So, wow, my eyes are not doing well. Triggers. Okay, I need to add a couple triggers. I believe if I don't add the triggers, it does default to pressed and completed, but I might be wrong on that, so I'm just gonna roll with it. I do want a pressed. Do I need a held on jump? I do. I do need held, so because Selden can one of the abilities is if you if you jump or fall off of something, you can hold the jump button and kind of fall slower. So I do need a held option. What is a down option? Trigger fires when the input exceeds the actual input threshold. when no triggers are bound down with an action, with an actuation threshold. I don't understand the difference between down and pressed. All right, so pressed only has a single read. Pressed has a single read when you push. It reads once, it gets one impulse. Down, I'm assuming, is a continuous impulse. I think that's how that works. What is held? Okay, I want to, not that it matters, but it matters to me. On, I've got left, up, down, right. I do have default move though. I don't know if I'm still using it, but maybe. I think move is just move. What did I do with this one? I did not add triggers to move, but what did I do for left and right? I did triggers. I did held and tap. That does make sense. Like, I really am not a fan of the new input system. And I try not to be a stick in the mud because it's something that's new. You know, as you get older, new things can be harder to pick up. So I try not to be like, oh, it's new, I don't want to do it. But it's when it's new, not intuitive, overcomplicated, then I don't want to do it. Like this just seems like it's too much to get movement done. That's where Unity beats out Unreal is you type out a line and say talk to a key and it works. Game Maker's the same way. You say I need to talk to this key, it works. Right? There's a lot of hoops to jump through to get input set up, and it's annoying. And I love Unreal, but the new input system makes me angry. But hey, the more I use it, maybe I'll grow to like it. I like the potential of what it offers. I don't know that I like the amount of work it takes to set up. I don't like that it's not intuitive. I don't like that I have to put this much thought into something that should be relatively simple. Normally I would just set up my buttons and be like, okay, do I want to have the ability to hold the button? Yes. Do I want to have a tap ability? Yes. Do I want to have this or that or that? Yes, yes, yes. Or no, no, no. Nay, nay, nay. And I do have that here. That is the thing. I don't know how these are behaving. And that's a learning curve, I guess, but all right, so jump. Enough of my rant. I do want a pressed option. I do want a released option. I don't need a pulsed option, but I want a held. So if held, I need a held option. I think these are all correct on what I'm going for. And then let's go into move here. Yeah, I don't know if move is redundant. So I have move and I have single input because I need to have divided inputs for this because the way move works is it's just an analog on an axis basically, but I need to have separate inputs for doing key presses. So like, forward, forward, high punch, or forward, back, low kick, like Mortal Kombat. So I need to have differentiated inputs. I don't know that I can do that on here, but I think maybe I can with the new trigger system. So it's just experimenting with how that works. But hey, like I tell my kids, if you don't get in there and mess it up once in a while, you're not gonna figure out how it works. So, and you can read the documentation and you can watch tutorials, but if you don't get your hands dirty, you're not gonna learn it. Anyway, so on my move input, I've got all these things, and I don't want to remove them, but I really want to shut these off. And if I change this, it's gonna wipe all that. Let's go ahead and add one. Man, my eyes everything's just blurry. I want jump. Where the heck did my jump go? There it is. Here's jump. Hey, look, it put jump at the top. Yeah, okay, because it's alphabetized. Oh, I guess I already had jump in there. I do. Okay, spacebar down and those. And then it inherited my triggers off of that. Okay, good. So this is why, being blind is awful. All right, so those are in. Let's go ahead and hit play here. So there's Selden is jumping. Jumping seems to do nothing. Also, I did fix this. But look at the jaw. That jaw is just thing. I did not fix the walking yet. Also, up and down also affect these. These should have no action here. But I don't know how to make them not have an action here. Right? I need up and down, but up and down are only supposed to work. Well, up is only supposed to work um, for flying, basically, and down works with flying, but down also allows you to crouch. So there's some context set up in here, but I'm not sure how to break that up and differentiate it with the new input system. Like if I need to have, horizontal movement and then vertical movement as a separate thing, and then call it in certain contexts, I'm not sure how to do that with the new system. Anyway, jump is not firing. But I can call out to the console and make sure I get that in. Before they do that though, let's go into the animations and let's add in um where the heck is this gonna be here? No, that's the writing. Here we'll go to Maya projects default and then scenes wherever you are. Where the heck is that? Selden. Alright, so I have my walking, running. Is my run actually a run or is it walk? I should take a look. Now I'm really curious. Did I ever check those? I do have a run. I should go take a look what those do. Where am I jump? Falling, jumping, landing. Those all gotta come into here. Ugh. No. Just, just no. Okay. Pick the appropriate skeleton. Yes. I believe I need to have a 90-degree rotation on all those. It's gonna bug me, but it will import all. Let's hide the terrifying skeleton. His neck is like broken. You see his neck's like gonna have to fix that. That is way too off center. That's idle to run. Where's my jump? Uh, then falling. Jaw fell off again. And then landing. Okay, so those are there. Where is my animator? Yes. Before you go cray cray, I'll do that. I don't know how well the reversal is going to work with the turning situation. Okay. Which area? I think the default is facing right. So idle right and then turn left. I've got start walking, start walk goes into walking, which goes into idle. Now I can jump from any of these situations. I can probably jump while I'm turning as well. So we'll do a new state. Um, this is going to be um, jump. Jump has falling. And then falling goes into landing. Landing goes back to idle. And idle and landing can also go back into walking. You can see it's going to become a web of annoyance. But I can also get to jump from walking, and I can also get to jump from there. The rule to get there is all going to be the same. Flowcharts. Handy, but annoying. Okay, so from actually, I'll put the animations in here. So, which one is this? Walking, jumping, jump. I think I would know that, right? There's jump. I'll go back to the ground. After jump, we go into falling. I really prefer to just write these in code, but some things are just better if you do it visually. And then landing. Landing. One of these needs to loop. I'll go back to falling. In falling, I need to check the loop box. Okay. So from idle, that's idle to jump. I just need to check if we are grounded. So if I am, in this case, if I'm not grounded, not grounded, no, not equal. I want to not Boolean. Okay, so if we're not jumping, and actually this is all the same. We're not grounded. All these have the same rule. Crap, wrong one. Same rule. This one, yeah. I'm curious to see if this will take me into the appropriate state, though. I'll worry about transitioning into falling from other states in a minute. So from jump, I want to when jump is finished. So time remaining ratio for the jump, time remaining ratio. We'll say when it's less than or equal to 0.1. And then we'll be in the falling animation and from falling, I can go to landing. Landing would be if I am on the ground. So is grounded is true. And then landed is going to be um, a bit different. So landed, if I'm going back to idle, um, that simply is going to check if the time remaining ratio is done for landing. So time remaining ratio is done. And I want my forward velocity to be 0. So I need to get my speed value and I need to see if that's 0. So equal to 0. And I need both of these. So if the animation is done and I'm not moving, I'll go straight into idle. So I need an and boolean. This is probably going to be the same with a different check. So I will probably need to create a context sensitive thing. So if you're falling and you land, but you have forward momentum, you might stumble. Right now, it's just going to let you walk. I don't think I have this going to start landing. No. So I can go back to here and just check if it's greater than 0. This will not work if I'm not facing the correct direction because I don't have a way of triggering it. I can just feed these in, but it would just look weird. He's not facing the right direction for that. So let me see if I can fire those. So I don't think I'm getting a read off of spacebar at all. Let's do this. Can I make a ramp? Um, Objects, basic. Do I have shapes? No. Shapes are here. Cube. Where is that in space? It's over here. Probably doesn't need to be that tall. I'm just gonna make a ramp out of that. It needs to be tall enough that I can get some decent height. Is it this way? So that kind of works. Can't get back over. Huh. So the transition for that looks like it's doing its job. Let's make that longer. So that looks like it pushes me into jump. So if I'm off the ground, he went into jump. So I want him to not actually do the jumping animation. So what I would really want to get is the input from that. I would want to get the jump button pressed, and then also check if I'm currently grounded at the time. If you have a double jump, you want to check your number of double jumps. So I need to get the input value. Oh. But anyway, he's not jumping anyway because he's not reading a key. So I'll come back to that, but I want to see why he's not reading that key. Let's go back in. Hop out of there. Make sure we save all. I was suspicious. All right. Let me go ahead and grab my U log over here, and let's throw out some console reads. Um, EH jump pressed. EH jump released. And I'll take this and I will run it also on Selden. EH jump started. And then I'll run my log. EH jump stopped. See if I can get some feedback. And actually, there's a built-in feedback checker for those inputs. Um, I forgot that it was a thing. Eyes are tired. Yeah. Normally I would go to bed by now, but I've got a thing in the morning. Normally I go run. Normally I would go run in the morning. I guess I still could, but allegedly it's gonna rain tomorrow, and I have an event at like noon. So I'm like, well, if I'm not going to run, I'll sit here and get some work done since I don't have to get up as early. Uh, by the way, these are delicious. They're the Ghirardelli little chocolate milk chocolate thingies with caramel apple. Those are pretty awesome. Like they did a really great job at simulating that candy apple flavor. It's like mind-boggling. Okay. Let me see if my output log is going to respond. Okay. Yes. They got their reports. So those are firing, but he's not going anywhere. Hmm. I may have to go down to a different level for my character's jumping. Hi. Oh, you're so cute. You wanna play? How you feeling? How's your tum-tums? Yeah, you're so freaking cute. Pope was playing with the paper towels. It's like her favorite game. Ah, oh, you're just so cute. You're so cute. Ah. I can hear you. Sure. That was mine. That's mine. That's mine. Ah. I'm glad you're feeling better. She had her surgery. Hmm. But she's been cooped up inside, so she's real mad. You want me to play? Hmm. Mm. I try to give her as much attention as I can because I want her to be a playful person. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. Oh, she's so dangerous. You've got them sharp teeth. Ah, you got me with your sharp teeth. But normally she does like jumps and stuff. I'm trying not to make her jump, but I'm also noticing that when I throw the thing higher, she's not trying to jump. So I think she understands that her tum tum hurts. And you're like, well, that makes sense. You know, they feel pain too. Yeah, we thought that, but she's been jumping up on the cabinets and stuff. You know, even though she's had this like day one right after the surgery, even with the incision still there, she's jumping on things. So she totally will jump, but for the game, she's not jumping. Just like Selden's not jumping. So I wonder why Selden is not jumping. What's going on? Do I need to enable jump in Unreal 5? Question mark. Let's go to his blueprint and see if that is something that I need to enable. Uh, his jump speed is 0. Okay. Well, no. Those are defaults that I built on the game object. Is your tum tum feel weird? It's my baby. You got me. You got me. You getting me. That's my fingers. That's my finger. Oh, you got She's got me with them sharp beans. Those are sharp, sharp beans. Ah. You got kitten drool on me. Okay. Um, so these are ones that I built. And I haven't set those. Jump Z velocity is 600s, which is the default. So he should be able to jump. Um, can jump is checked, so that is allowed. Uh, why is he not going? Oh, she got me good. Look at that. You probably can't see that, but there's a bit of chunky skin right there. She got me good there. Little punctures. Um, All right. What am I going to do here for that? So those are being fired. Now let me go back. Hold on a second. That's weird. Okay. I didn't let go. I held it and I did not get, that's not the appropriate call. Left held makes sense. Held. My up and down haven't been, they don't have it checked. But left is being held. That's being held. This is not. It's just, but it is firing repeatedly. And it shouldn't. Maybe it's in a constant cycle of starting and stopping. Um, Spacebar gamepad. I don't know what another option for jump, so remove that. Um, why then are they being strange? It is a Boolean. Consume input. Yeah. Um, let me see. These are different. No. I mean, they have fewer inputs. I've got a tap and a hold. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know why that's not going. I mean, I don't know why it is firing out of turn. Let me see. Trigger fires once only when input exceeds the actuation threshold. Holding the input will not cause further triggers. That is false because I am holding it and I'm getting multiple triggers. Released. Trigger returns ongoing while. Ah, hi. Hi. You're so cute. I appreciate you trying to come up and get some attention. She's no longer a tiny kitten, so when she did that, I've got the full weight of a cat just pulling on my leg. Um, Release trigger returns ongoing. Whilst who writes whilst? While input exceeds the actuation threshold, trigger fires once only when input drops back below actuation threshold. Hmm. Let's do this. First, I'll save all. Uh, debugger. Let's go to the input side of things. I'm not going to call the released on this. I'm going to just knock these off. I may bind to just a different key. I make sure that these are correct, whatever they are. Okay. Hi. You're real cute. You're real cute. Mm. Hi. No, I can't have you coming up here and breaking the computer. You want to play though? You want to play? You want to play? I got you. I got you. You're so cute. I don't know if you can see Popo, but she's real cute. Hi. I don't want to pick her up just because she still has the incision. Allegedly, they're good after a week. It'll be a week tomorrow, so she's probably fine. But I'm gonna let that close up a little bit more. All right, so it looks like I did not set this. It is started as completed, but I did not set that here. So I just have it set to triggered. So this should be started, and then this should be completed. Okay, that means I can go back to here and unhide my stuff. Where the hell did I? I did that on controller. See, this is another problem with having code that's duplicated essentially, is I'm chasing my tail trying to find like which version of it did I change. That's just bad juju. It should go to one place, not this one. Okay. Yeah. Mm, there we go. So if so like on this one, I don't have the animation, so I can do that, and it just goes to his walking state because that's what it thinks it knows. Um, Here I can do the jump, and you can see how that transitions. So he does the animation, and then he does his fall, and his land is actually not bad. Land could be a little bit smoother back into his default pose, maybe a little bit deeper. But you see how there's such a delay off of the kickoff. So what that just tells me is I need to shorten that starting point so that he's more toward the end of the legs pushing down. not so much the jump. Or I can put a brief delay um, before the jump is actually fired, before he leaves the ground. But this is an very action heavy game, and I don't want there to be a delay. I don't want the player to have to wait and have the character feel sluggish. So I like the jumping instantaneous for the call. Um, so I think I'll go back into Maya. I closed it, didn't I? I did. You did. Oh, Maya. And I'll just snip off the start of that. Yeah, Unity needs to fix its import system. So I know I complain about it a lot about Unity's input system being or re-import system being terrible. And it's not that it's terrible. I mean, it is, but the way Unity does the re-importing is set up goofy. Um, when you re-import, it, I guess, essentially refreshes the version of the object from the referenced address of the object on in the asset folder, but it doesn't go back to the source file outside of Unity. You have to go to where those references are and manually re-import from there, and then it will actually re-import. I don't know why they don't have it go the other way by default, though. That's just silly. Anyway, I'm only getting on that because I'm gonna re-import these, and we're gonna just do it. So I'm going to take this at about here. Frame. Let's do it from frame 25. And then frame 25. Through 46. So when I push the button, I should see this. That might even be too far. I might have to go here. That might be quicker. Let's start from here though, and then I'll try it again. So we'll select hierarchy and then bake. And let's take that, export, uh, and get that done. Jump. Yes. Where is jump? Left walk, right. Jump. Re-import. Yes. Way back. Seems to be pretty responsive. Now there is a thing where if I keep hitting, it'll. I need to set it so it cancels. If I fire the animation again, it'll in rapid succession that it cancels. Or I can set it up to where it just doesn't let me do it. But I would much rather have a fast jump than to have one that delays me. So I think it's better to have the animation just cancel and go back and start over. So whatever you were in, it just cancels you back in. And if I'm walking, it brings me to here. So I have to do another animation for if I'm in motion and then I jump. He's gonna, he might be leaping and have like instead of being like here, he might be having a leg forward and be carried forward. Like whatever. Mario. Bling. Yeah. But jumping is in, landing is in. You need to do it for the other side. Let's try this. I'm not sure how to get there with my current setup because I don't have a direct throughput, but where would it be? I don't think that'll work because I specifically have turning that checks my left and right. My current setup kind of forces me to do two. I really want to test doing um, the other option where it just flips it for me. So I'll do idle to jump here. And then grounded. I will say not Boolean. And then jump. I have to create a mirror data table, don't I? Let me compile and save. Let me go to, where is it at? Skeletal mesh, Seldon, off the main mesh, skeleton assets, asset actions. Let's do animation, mirror data table off of Seldon. See if it got all the bones. It looks like it did. Okay, that's got that animation. We're gonna mirror off of Seldon. Plug that in. Plug it in. Plug it in. I need to know what direction he's facing. I don't have a facing left, correct? Good. So it is facing right. So if I'm facing right, I don't want to mirror. So I'm going to say no. And I'm going to have this be a not. Not Boolean. right? So if I am facing right, I do not want a mirror. If I am not facing right, I do want a mirror. So it should do the opposite of whatever this is. And let's take a look. Actually, let me do that for each one here. That way I just plug it in. Hi, kitten. Oh, you're so cute. You are so cute. Come here. And then this one. You little monster. Destroying all the things. I'd like to implement the mouse. Thank you. You were just the cutest little bundle of adorableness. Okay, so now I'm facing this way, and if I jump, it goes into that. That's correct. It goes into that. Did I not set up the data table? It is. Not grounded versus not grounded. Huh. Why would it not? What value is being mirrored? The default should be X. Is that the joints axis or the world axis? If it's world axis, then I would actually want to mirror. Let's see where he's at. So X should be left and right, but his joint orientation has the bones pointing, or the joints pointing down X. So I might want to flip across Z. Let's try that. Well, I mean, that at least could be something. How about Y? I don't see that working at all. No difference, no functional difference there. And maybe you can see some, but I don't see anything. How about the jump itself? I'll put it back in. Functional is not doing anything. Why does it keep putting me back at falling? Is it just currently running? No, it's not running. but it does keep me back at falling. Okay, so lip one, eye one, eye two. Those are all right. Cheek, nostril. Yeah, that looks like it's going across the correct. Hmm, maybe I'm not getting to it, but I don't see a change happening at all. How about idle? That's weird. That is stance right, but it's not showing in the preview. Mm. Oh, yeah, no, I don't see that happening at all. Yeah, when I'm in that state, I should see the animation that is performing. Hmm. May just be context sensitive. Sometimes these nodes load in specific for one thing or another. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know why that's not going. Anyway, it's like 2 o'clock and I'm too tired to figure it out. So, um, I might just hop off. No group role method, do not sync. No low density test, I don't think so. No, I have tested this on other animations, but I have not tested it specifically on him. Um, I tested it on the old version of him, and it worked on the old version, but I've not tested it on the new version. Um, it may just, no, that doesn't make any sense. I was gonna say it may just be there's not enough of a difference left and right, but it definitely is. Um, no disappointing. because I was really hoping that would work and cut my work in half. Yeah, like get out of here. Yeah, I'm too tired. If you figure it out, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna come back to it when I'm fresh and can actually think. Maybe there's just something I left off, but that's not taking precedent at all. Like when I fire to jump, I don't even see it happen. I don't even see it running in the preview. Facing left takes me into there. If I am not grounded. What about this one? Same thing. That should all lead into here, right? You're breaking my stuff over there. Multiple inputs going in. One is from left, one is from right. Man, I don't know why. Hmm. I mean, I could always be like, hey, the variable for facing left or right isn't getting pulled, but that still isn't affecting the animation that I'm seeing in preview. And it's still not affecting, because like landing should definitely be showing landing here. But if I plug it in and I compile, that's not landing. Plug it in this way, compile. That's not going. Fast path enabled. This node is not using any blueprint calls to update its data. Can be leader. Always follower. Can be leader, I guess. Oh. Yeah, it looks like it got all the correct bones to I think they're all right. Left and right gets mirrored. Right and left gets mirrored. Not sure why these are backwards here. I'm stubborn. That's why I'm still here. Mm. All right, I really am gonna jump off this time. If I find it, I'll let you know. If you find it, let me know. It may just be that it doesn't work on him for whatever reason. All right.